You here, Dan?
Yep. I am here. I'm ready.
All right. Welcome back. We just had ourselves a Michael Bay action movie of a game. Now to switch genres to something a little bit more high-end drama. This one's looking for the Oscars, everyone, because Heretics versus BDSA. Let's bring up those standings and set those stakes.
I do love me some stakes, and we can see 5-0 to BDS Academy and 4-1 to Heretics. Really simple. If Heretics do win this next match, they will be tied 1-1 in game score, so we will go to a tiebreaker. So if Heretics win, we get the same matchup once again with our tiebreaker, which, you know, I'm not going to complain about. Obviously, Heretics have to win again. Going to make things a bit more difficult to take first in this group. But yeah, setting up to be an absolute banger.
Yeah, absolutely. We did see that exact scenario just yesterday where LDLC got the back-to-back wins against X7 to claim first in the group there.
It's tragic for any
It was very
fans.
disappointing, exactly. It was especially the initial game where the attempted Syndra counter with the Draven did not work, and things went very wrong very quickly for poor old chasing the top side. But I think instead we have actually got ourselves the likes of some B-roll to go through to set the scene for this one as well. Just waiting for word for production to see whether that's been set up or not. But otherwise, I do want to take a moment to hear about what you're expecting from this game, because the first game was certainly a pretty exciting one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like ultimately BDSA had some really strong power in their lanes, top and bot. And then, honestly, Heretics did a pretty good job in the mid game. It felt like they were getting challenged, they were finding these angles. It felt like they were starting to dictate the pace. But there was one crucial problem, and that was Adam. Whenever Adam joined fights and found an angle in, he kind of did what you expect him to do on his Darius.
It was really, really exciting. And, you know, there was also that blind shove that got the pickup onto this area that seems to be starting to be untouched. And if you could keep Adam's Darius at range, it felt playable. But the moment that stopped being able to happen, the moment you started getting plays like this, it got very, very tricky indeed. And, you know, that stopwatch only bought some time. And Adam, so damn tanky, unless you can sort of deal with him last, he gets to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be real, considering how rough the laning phase looked in this game. Credit to Heretics for making it at least a bit of a close one. But you don't go in a game wanting to have that setup right, that being the opening scenario. And it just felt like there was so much power on the side of BDSA, right? This backline DPS between Crownie and Reeker, and then Adam being this frontline big threat. There was moments though, even towards the end, even when we were saying that it was BDS's game that they controlled, Jackspektra still trying to do everything he could to turn it in favor for Heretics. So, you know, the first time we saw these two matched up, it absolutely delivered, and I feel like today it's going to be a similar event.
And I think it's fair to say BDSA somewhat favored, but Heretics are certainly able to throw the right punches. The term I've been using recently is they're in the right weight class, right? They have got the ability to throw punches with the best of them. They are the first seed out of the Spanish region, and they really desperately want to start picking up some of those wins against the LFL, and this was so close. This play here, the stopwatches into that moonshot to get the bailout afterwards into his own stopwatch. Crownie broke some ankles in that game, particularly as he got a couple items under his belt.
And, you know, this was a scenario where BDSA already had Mountain Soul, right? And the fact that it was still, like, moments like that have to come down mechanical execution, you know, it was a challenge, but they managed to pull through, managed to get that 1-0 lead, and it's going to put them in a pretty comfortable position because, as you said, LDLC did manage to get a 2-0 in their group, managed to get first seed as a result, but it's much harder facing down the prospect that you have to win 2 games in a row, whereas if BDSA get just one, they will secure that spot. And right now, we've had 2 groups confirmed so far in EU Masters, and both of them have first seed being LFL. So BDSA want to join that, want to keep up the trend, and then it's on Vitality to see if we can get 4 LFL teams in first seed in each group, which would be kind of mad.
That would be something for the history books for sure. And again, they look pretty poised to do it, despite the fact some of the other teams have, I think, actually stepped up and proven themselves pretty strong themselves. I'm looking at UOL Sexy Edition. X7 had a pretty good group stage. Dusty had their moments. Well, in fact, they nearly took Game War down then in their final game against them as well. It still feels like the LFL teams have been that cut above. And BDSA don't want to let the side down. They want to prove that, much like Spring, much like we heard from Reeker earlier, they are on the right day, are able to take down even the likes of LDLC, even like some of these other incredible LFL teams. And to do that, they kind of want a clean game here to prove there will be no tiebreaker scenario. There will be no option. For Heretics, what do they have in the tank to make sure they can get themselves another game, another tiebreaker to make this a very exciting group instead? Double AD carry bans from BDSA though early on. They want the scaling options.
Double jungle bans from Heretics.
Yeah. What a surprise.
Yeah. I mean, Draven's kind of a must ban against Jackspektra, especially since it's actually, like, I feel like you'd potentially respect ban it when it's not Draven's meta just because you're so good in it, but when it is a Draven meta, for sure you have to go for it. So, a lot of jungle bans coming through. Something I'm going to note, though, we haven't seen too many bans towards, like, the supports we get, like the Enchanters. Zeri could be available for a first pick for BDSA because with Vi being down, with those aggressive early AD carriers being down, there is less options. There is still that Lucian army. And we see the Twitch bat. I think this is Heretics baiting them in. They want BDSA to take the Zeri, and then they would respond with Lucian army. So we'll see if they fall for the bait, or we'll see if they go in a different direction and set Heretics up to lean on that Zeri pick.
And it does feel like, particularly in this second week, that a lot of teams have been willing to give over the Zeri because they are so happy to draft the Lucian army and then crush opponents with it. It was a 15-kill game for crying out loud yesterday for Attila and Kasing. You know, that's the kind of level of domination you can get out of that lane. Of course, the Sivir's still being left up, and maybe instead we just see a trade of those hyper carries. It's only being hovered right now, so we need to wait to see what the lock-ins are. But there are still a couple options left up. Instead, it will be the Azir for now. See what they lock in alongside it.
Yeah, I think the thing is for Heretics is you kind of need to commit to your bot lane here because, you know, you can only pick up one half of it. If you don't commit to your bot lane here, you can get an AD carry but not support, support not an AD carry. You can't go Lucian army, so I expect them to commit here and now. It looks like they're going in the Sivir direction. So here's the question. Do we get the trade-off? I think BDSA could be an advantage here because they can go Zeri Yuumi, and Heretics, if they end up going Sivir Lulu, I feel like, you know, the better pairing is that Zeri and that and the Yuumi. The fact that also Zeri will steal away the Lulu shields, I think that'll give BDSA the edge. Or they can go for the Lucian Nami. They can go for the more aggressive angle. It looks like they may just opt to match in the scaling. So Yuumi has come down. I would fully expect Zeri to come here. And all in all, I think BDSA pretty happy with how the draft has panned out.
Absolutely. It does feel that there's some kind of mind games going on around about leaving some of these champions open and seeing what they can, whether they can find an angle to counter it. But it's locked in. They're just now daring the side of Heretics to find something to answer this oh so powerful duo. Zwyroo debating locking in the Ahri here, but of course he's got an Azir, so that will be some wildness if it is. So instead, I suspect we'll wait and see whether that's going to be what's likely a Lulu lock-in to match up the bot.
Yeah, and now go to the second rotation. BDSA can start throwing bans towards the jungle if they really want to thin out the pool. But to be honest, like a lot of the big tier junglers that you expect to see have already been taken off the cards, right? With the Trundle, Wukong, and the Vi gone. Heretics, on the other hand, they can start to ban away mid laners, right? They have the Ahri, they can just ban that. They can ban the Talir as well. Both, I feel, would be solid bans in this situation.
Does feel to be that case. They go towards a Camille instead, as you kind of sort of alluded to there as well. The fact that Adam has often been, as I was talking with the likes of Middlecop, with Rudude, Don Jake, some of those other LFL English casters, saying, look, Adam is the guy who picks up, and I quote here, BS 1v1 picks, where he doesn't get a lot of attention from the jungler and just smashes lane by himself. We've seen it on things like the Aatrox, the Camille set. He fits into that kind of ability to look for those aggressive all-ins and tower dives. And I wonder whether something like the Aatrox might be a bannable option here as well, or maybe the Darius as well that he's shown earlier in the tournament.
Yeah, I think the problem here is because there's so many top laners available. Like we saw in earlier matches where there was a lot banned away, a lot targeted, and Adam didn't have to stretch the pool, which I think he's fine with, right? He's someone who brings out the pocket picks. But there's so much up and available. I think Heretics trying to throw more bans in that direction could just really be a little bit wasted. So I expect, though, in this situation, Heretics going to take jungle and 4, have counter pick for Ibro, because that lane matchup last time didn't go well. It was Ibro's Renekton into Adam's Darius. Adam did get a solo kill pre-6, so you definitely want to make sure it's stable. And BDSA, they're trying to rock the boat here, banning the Sejuani, banning the Ornn. They want to put Ibro in his most uncomfortable position possible.
He was, of course, on Unicorns of Love, Sexy Edition back in spring. Had a pretty decent tournament with them, but there wasn't enough to really push that deep in there. Hovering a lot of options here. Would be a very Chad move to lock in the likes of the Darius into Adam, but instead goes towards the Gnar, and that's at least according to Kerberos, who I was chatting to a little bit after the NLC final, saying, look, really don't want to draft Darius into Gnar if you can help it, because Gnar can really kind of have his way with the Darius, able to hop out of a lot of the stuff, keep the range advantages, particularly as the levels go on and you get that increased range. So now it's kind of down to Adam to find something to counter with it. Does go towards his Aatrox.
Yeah, see, I'm not sure on this. The picking up the Gnar, understandably, they want to give Aibo this comfortable pick, but Gnar was like this staple blind this summer. He was like the pick that you pick in any situation and you're fine, but he got nerfed. His base health got nerfed, and Aatrox has also come out as a counter. We see this all the time in the LPL with teams picking Aatrox into the Gnar. We've seen 369 do it, even running Comet on Aatrox to maximize those burst trade windows. So, you know, Adam's once again got a good matchup, and Reeker's going to be confident just picking up the Viktor into the Azir. So something that can definitely maybe make Jackspektra's life a little bit more difficult, because if you're playing that Sivir, getting a bit too close, Reeker will check you with that laser.
It's a Season 6 special, Viktor versus Azir, and it was something that Reeker was really known for in his time during the LEC, perhaps overly known for in some ways, but he was so good at the Viktor. It does feel like a matchup where you can kind of get away with it a little bit, look to get the lane shove, and you've got two very hard scaling champions in the mid and bot lane, and the Nocturne lock in here to potentially punish the scaling choices for BDSA.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Nocturne's okay considering the pool was thinned, but the problem is, like, you have limited windows. So one of the things is that you kind of need Mega Gnar to be with you if you're going to have a dive buddy. If Gnar's not in Mega, you don't have a dive buddy, you're going in solo against BDSA's composition, you're not going to get a kill unless you're super far ahead. So I feel like Heretics, I'm going to say, I think BDSA have the edge in the draft. They got a good match up top. They've got Zeri and Yuumi, right? It's not Zeri, Lulu versus Sivir Yuumi. I feel like they have the stronger in both those picks, and I think Reeker's perfectly comfortable with this matchup. So Heretics got their work cut out for them, but I still think the composition's definitely serviceable.
All of ours and bluerzor to see whether he can make the Nocturne work. And you kind of said it, it's not standard play patterns to follow up on the Nocturne outside of the Mega Gnar following in afterwards. I mean, you have got the Lulu to, you know, give the wild growth. You've got the Sivir to speed him up, and maybe the Azir can follow up him with the Emperor's Divide, but it's not true dive buddies, if you know what I mean. If that was the Yuumi with the Nocturne, it might be a little different. And while you've got some ways of backing up, I kind of agree. Not the easiest or most reliable ways of ensuring your Nocturne ults are effective.
Yeah, and I respect this from Adam as well. I think it makes complete sense here. I talked about it before. 369, someone who's bringing out the Comet Aatrox, running Comet and the buff Scorch. It's basically because, like, you know, typically you see Aatroxes go Conqueror, but how are you supposed to stack Conqueror against a ranged top laner? It's not really possible in most scenarios. All your short trade windows will just be dashing forwards, getting the Q down, pumping out damage on the mini Gnar, and so really looking to try and punish this lane matchup.
That will be the play, trying to get as many of those Darkin Blades down onto the Gnar and find some ways to play out with that range discrepancy. Nothing super unusual in the other options. Early ward does go in for BDSA into the red buff, so that will be a scouted jungle clear. Oh, so important in the current meta. Maybe time again to remind people of the stakes of this game. BDSA win. They go undefeated. They are the undisputed first seed coming out of this group, and they will join the likes of LDLC and, of course, Game Ward as the first seeds decided here at Amazon European Masters. They lose. Heretics earn themselves a tiebreaker to decide who comes out first. We both kind of favor BDSA's draft, but there's still some gameplay to go on. Both junglers starting on opposite sides of the map means we might end up with some early ganks with no one to respond.
Absolutely, and the Nocturne can be super impactful, right? If you find angles post level 6, get a numbers advantage can make all the difference. And we're in a situation here where, you know, Jackspektra and whiteinn did a pretty good job so far. It's expected, right? I talked about this earlier. The Lulu has more agency than the Yuumi in the levels, can use that picks for some good trading power, can help shove. But it's really important, I feel like, for Heretics that the bot lane goes good, because last game when these two faced up, the bot lane for Heretics was a bit of a letdown in the laning phase. Aibo as well. I feel like these are the places where this team struggled. So if they start to do better in this one, that opens up windows, because the mid game from Heretics we've seen can be strong, especially if bluerzor is the person setting the pace on this Nocturne. He's just clearing through his jungle. Expectation, he's probably just trying to clear as fast as possible to get to that 6. His ganks aren't super potent early levels, whereas for Sheo on the Poppy, he can find more angles in.
Last few seconds on that vision ward did spot up bluerzor, still up the red buff, but they would have had an idea he would have been there anyway, because Nocturne tends to want to full clear. He didn't start on the red buff, so now at least they know for certain he's there. but there's nothing especially new about that. Sheo already onto his Krugs. Has actually left his red buff to last here. I'm not quite sure if that's a standard thing on the Poppy, but either way, that's the choice that he has made.
Well, one of the things is if you're planning to use your red buff as effectively as possible, by leaving it last, you know, he's now going to have a period of time where he can gank, right? Because his camps are resetting. Because he did his red last, he's going to have the most time available with that red buff possible. Whereas if you do your red buff first, right, it's going to pretty much time out by the time you finish your clear.
So perhaps a little less efficient in terms of timing on the clear, but definitely more efficient in terms of getting maximal usage out of the red buff. Now with level 4, now with that red buff available, he wants to fight. Exactly that. We'll take the opportunity to claim the Scuttle Crab first and smites it down very swiftly. Just goes to the Scryer's Bloom. I'm probably going to put down an early ward here, I suspect. Curious as to where. There it is. And now looking for maybe a wraparound gank into mid lane. Whereas Zwyroo just a touch shoved up. Maybe there's an angle here, but it would be a little bold.
Yeah, it's just so hard because the thing is, if you can close gap onto the Azir, right, your W can stop his dash, but with Flash, Reeker's in trouble.
Instead, it will bluerzor doing it from the other angle. Does manage to get the Endless Nightmare off, but not quite enough to get that lockdown. Flash for flash from Reeker and bluerzor.
Yeah, so a bit unfortunate bluerzor committed the flash there. It wasn't really a kill angle because the Fear Tether would have to connect, and then they'd need damage to follow up. So, bit of a misplay, but it's still positive for Heretics. The big thing, when you're playing in a mobile mage into Azir, if you don't have flash, then I think it's very obvious what Heretics going to try and do once they hit level 6. Try and go for the Streamer Shuffle onto Reeker. So I'm expecting to tune back in later in the game and to see that play try and come out. Now, Sheo has full vision here, and bluerzor will find him out on the wolf. So I think he does just have to run away from this one. You can see Reeker recalling a low health, so you'd get no support from mid lane.
It would be a bit bold. And apologies again, I called it Unending Nightmare. It's actually Unspeakable Horror. I have no idea where I called the paranoia there. I think it just sounds cool. Unending Nightmare does sound cool, I know.
Come on. Believe. Oh, what a letdown, honestly.
I'm a play-by-play and I don't remember all the ability names. I think I probably have to like hand in my like license or something.
It's fine. I'll let you off this time. Right. This
is a
warning, though.
You're very kind. Thank you.
Point on the license, right?
What would give points on a play-by-play license in your mind?
Well, I feel like maybe making color points, right, and then getting it wrong.
No, if you get them wrong, oh no, that's dangerous.
Yeah. That's, I see it. You know, when play-by-plays are feeling themselves, they're like, ooh, I'll drop some analysis. This is how this matchup goes, and then it's completely off, and it's like,
Yeah, you're wrong. Is that the noise you make specifically when that happens? Is that your play-by-play is making dumb points?
No, I mean, it depends on the context. Hopefully, I have enough time to go, well, actually, you're completely off.
Right.
Completely out of sync.
All right, well, eyes back on the game. We're still waiting for level 6, particularly for
waiting for the shuffle. Yeah, they're trying to go for the play on Reeker. If he overextends...
He's got no flash, so this is an angle. But look who else is here. BDSA looking to punish. It's a massive 3v3 brawl. Exhaust comes down, but actually fleeing from that unspeakable horror. It means first blood goes the way of Zwyroo. And they do manage to get away with the gank, even though the counter gank was in. Yeah,
I mean, I feel like the reason all, like, 3 members from both teams were there, you got both junglers, both supports, is because it was telegraphed, right? I feel like it's, you know, I said it before, I set it up as a potential thing, and I think both teams respected it and were aware, and I think BDSA just thought, you know, maybe they could outplay. But the problem is, as soon as Reeker gets shuffled into close range, it just really makes it a hard fight to win. So I respect the effort from BDSA to try and turn it around, but still a positive one for Heretics.
Bot laners collapsing on each other here. But no one lands any ability. The Glitter Lance does come through. And whiteinn gets chunked out. But actually, there's the ultimate for Crownie. And a flash straight away from whiteinn, who did not want to be on the receiving end of that.
Yeah, so have to be careful about that one. Play a little bit concerned. The threat off that Zeri 6 spike pretty big. And now, looks like Adam's got a wave to crash in. I go close to Mega Gnar, but let's try and make this work.
Is he going to be close enough? The hop is interrupted with a heroic charge. And Adam just deletes the Gnar from the rift.
And that's the power of the Poppy, right? Slam them into the wall. It's a 1.6 second stun. And it's guaranteed Adam hits the damage. So top lane going well for BDSA. Bot lane going pretty fine. And this is kind of a repeat of what we saw last time, because it's not even the mid lane scenario. In the first matchup we had between these two, we saw Heretics really focus resources onto punishing Reeker in the mid lane to get kills. In fact, they killed him back to back at one point. But it was the side lanes that were the problem for them. And I think bot lane's managed okay, but they're still behind. In top lane, I am going to be a bit concerned with Adam getting that kill, having a CS lead on the Aatrox. Could be problematic.
Yeah, of course that was somewhat exacerbated by the fact there was a wave that was dying under tower as that gank came through. But even so, you don't expect to see that kind of discrepancy, especially into a range versus melee matchup. And it's a little bit alarming. Of course, bluerzor now has the ultimate available.
Do this.
He's going to start doing this one. And he has got a little bit of support. Overcomes Lulu and the Azir. So they are going to start this one up and feel they have the damage done with Gnar available from Ibo as well. Don't think BDSA have got too much room to come and contest.
Yeah, I thought BDSA would come over. Oh, Ibo's going to use the Gnar here.
And there's no world ender. So actually Adam could be in a spot of danger, but still has the flash. And now the mini Gnar's coming through. So not going to be too much damage coming through. And Adam has got some health pots to make himself safe. But whiteinn is off vision because that wall got cleared. Going to recall here and not see too much more.
Yeah, I honestly thought that as soon as he got spotted on the vision that we'd see BDSA run over, try and make the fight happen. But I think the big critical thing I missed initially was the fact that whiteinn had moved. whiteinn had moved, Crownie and Erdote had gone for the wave push, so they wouldn't be there. It'd be a 4v3. And Heretics, considering, you know, they haven't had the best start in this game, able to secure the Herald, and that's a pretty easy route to try and get back into this game, and close up. It's only a 500 gold lead, but if they can get some gold onto their carries, because that's the thing. Both bot lanes have champions who are going to really be relevant in these late game fights, right? The Zeri and the Sivir, we've seen both of these two doing so much work throughout the last few patches globally. So looking to see where bluerzor does use the Herald, but also the first paranoia. I think that's the thing with Nocturne.
Yes.
Is you often define the champion by that first ult. If you get a successful play, it can make all the difference.
He's not walked through the bush. It's the gadget bush on the other side of the map. There's a control ward in it, and he's very spot. Adam's going, I do not want to be here. Will Zwyroo walk through the bush? He does! There we go, spotted out, but that does give license for Adam to get on out. Now to see what happens on the other side of the map. Looks like the dragon has been started. And with Crownie and whiteinn, actually going to try and get onto Jackspektra, who's got a spell shield, but that does not stop the burst fight. Takes so much damage.
Yeah, now with the health being low, I think they just have to back away. So Herald comes down top, a lot of gold given over to Ibo. Not really the best person to have it, but you know, you'll take the window you find. But now bot lane is losing out. BDSA are leaning there. Poppy super threatening if you're trying to defend a tower, because it's basically impossible for her not to stun you when you're trying to hug the turret. And so tower won't go down top, but a lot of gold given over. But yeah, bot lane for Heretics is struggling.
Top lane ship righted somewhat, but you're absolutely right. 1,000 gold lead just shy of for Crownie, who has now looked for a couple pretty aggressive trades that have helped earn him and Erdote a solid lead down there. It is only 600 gold, but we kind of did have some worries about how the comp would function unless they got big leads. You know, they do want to make sure these paranoias work off well, and we've yet to see one, and that's perhaps more alarming than anything. You kind of want to see the Nocturne using those ultimates back to back to back if it's going really well.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, you know, if you use it and it goes badly, that can be devastating. But
Yes.
at the same time, you want to be getting the use of it. Now, Jackspektra should just build a spell shield if Sheo goes for the stun, so not really too much of a concern.
Does he manage to stop the plate going down? He does. He draws the aggro. Now whiteinn's actually in danger here. Ultra Shock Laser comes down. whiteinn has sped himself up with a Whimsy, but I'm not sure whether Whimsy will be enough to get him out to safety, but they decide not to go too much deeper, as you can see at the top of your screen. bluerzor was around and potentially available to shove on in, and Sheo might be in danger himself. Manages to immune the Emperor's Divide, but now he's still in danger. The first ultimate does not work, and it's traded out for a final chapter.
Yeah, now BDSA looking to potentially re-engage. A lot of damage comes down, and there's your first paranoia. What did it achieve? Absolutely nothing.
Tried to catch out the Poppy, but buffers out the heroic charge well enough to just go straight on through that wall of soldiers.
Oh, you see Sheo feeling confident here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is honestly the power. Oh, look for the re-engage.
Wow, they just look for that re-engage. Sheo has been so aggressive here. The Umbra Glaives do come through, but still secures the Gromp afterwards. Complete disrespect. Feeling very, very confident, especially with the wave shoved in and bot side. There's no way Jackspektra can come on over and defend this. Means it will be a smite fight for the blue buff.
Oh, the buckler.
And it goes over because bluerzor didn't have the smite available.
Yeah, the buckler comes in from Sheo to secure it, and this Poppy Yuumi is so hard to punish. The fact that the Poppy's just so tanky so far.
Oh my days, that's very deep. I'm not sure he wants that. Polymorph is running away with the phase rush. Now Jackspektra's in danger, gets exhausted. Has an ultimate, and bluerzor has to flash out as well. You're not allowed in your own jungle, Heretics.
They just can't handle. Oh, Adam looking for the kill.
Got pulled back by the Infernal James despite the flash. I thought that was pretty dangerous, but now he's in a little bit of bother underneath the turret. Ivo coming towards the Gnar, trying to trade this out pretty well. Oh, God.
Catch catches him, and once again, Adam gets the solo kill. We saw him get a solo kill last time these two went head-to-head, and once more, he finds one against Aibo. Just put down some domination against the player with the most EU Masters matches of all time.
That is just insane. Doing so well there in this tournament in general. He has got himself 5 solo kills over the tour. We've got a solo kill a game so far. And he picked up his 6th this one here. And it's a stylish one to boot.
Yeah, hits everything. Unfortunately, kind of mistimes the final one with the Infernal Chains, but then the confidence to go for this play, the second one catches him, and it is hard to play this matchup right. I feel like Aibo is not in a fun matchup, but Adam is just playing it so well.
Does indeed do that, and he's had 1 gank up top, and that set him up for so much success. Now 1,000 gold lead ahead, despite the Herald going down early on, despite being zoned off that wave. He's up 20 CS, despite the matchup. That Comet Tech working wonders right now, and is about 1,500 gold lead, which isn't a lot, but it just kind of feels with the way the pressure is, BDSA kind of feeling more in control than perhaps the gold lead might suggest.
Yeah, and the fact they have that Elite Dragon as well. I mean, the extra armor and magic resist that an Elite Mountain. I mean, Crownie, he's gonna get the tower and get out. So huge amount of gold gone to him. So the lead's grown even more. They have the Fierce Dragon, a Mountain, 9% armor and MR when you have like a Poppy and Aatrox. Absolutely massive to have that one already secured. And they're posturing for the second. And I want to highlight this duo. Sheo and Erdote. The Poppy and the Yuumi is so potent. It's kind of a bit like, you know, like Gnar and Yuumi are fold. Maybe not as broken, but just the fact that Poppy is so tanky, so mobile with phase rush and her W given movement speed. You can't kill this Poppy, and she kind of just does what she wants, goes where she pleases. And right now, that is into the bot jungle of Heretics. They are going to answer the Herald on the top side, but I don't think BDSA mind.
It is something of a silver lining, at least, but yeah, Sheo and Erdote, as you've been highlighting, so dangerous and so much target access with the speed ups, with the flashes, with the final chapter, with all the kit that Poppy has to bear as well. And yes, you've got this Nocturne, but it feels like the counter engage, or frankly, just a straight up engage, is pretty heavily matched there with that combo just by itself. Dragon number 2 is stacked, and we've got ourselves an Infernal Rift to boot. Oh,
I mean, we could. Not gonna find the Azir there. I was gonna say though, one of the other things as well is if Nocturne comes in, you proc his spell shield, Sheo can just slam him straight back out again with the ultimate and kind of discourage that play from coming through. And right now, 2,000 gold for BDSA. They have 2 dragons in pocket. It kind of feels like everything is leaning in that direction in this game. But you need to see Heretics trying to make something happen, and there's still potential for them, right? They still have these scaling carries, but the Nocturne is gonna lose value the longer this game goes on. You kind of want to start finding those numbers advantage plays, find those angles. And speaking of advantage,
oh, flash for the shove. There's the Emperor's device. Zwyroo will shuffle over the wall to flash for flash, but it is a flash off the Azir, which makes him a lot more vulnerable.
Yeah, and bluerzor might be caught out as well.
2-5 for the vision, but they're going to keep going into this. I don't know how much they want this. The Chaos still comes through, throws down the ultimate, gets the kill, will get traded back. Jungler for jungler. But now look who's in danger. Reeker is there. Jackspektra's coming over, but Adam's teleported in, has thrown down the world, and Jackspektra trying to get out and out of that with the ultimate. Will get stopped out, will flash out and trade. Ultra Laser just goes wide, and the Sivir survives.
A lot committed by BDSA to try and make that more for them, make it more than just that 1-for-1. But in the end, Heretics managed to get away and will also take this tower on the top lane. But they looks like they might just lose their mid-tier 1 first, so not the best trade.
The most of the wave there, though, so they will be able to stop it for now, but it depends how long they want to stay as Aibo and Adam trade out over a Blast Cone. We saw that last game. Doesn't work out as well as you're hoping. Tower in mid lane falls. So much damage onto whiteinn. Flash forward for Crownie. He gets them both.
And suddenly, that's the biggest advantage we need. Aibo going down as well.
Oh, it takes so much damage.
Lane, and this game has just been blown open by BDSA. Heretics already down, but it felt like that trade was going okay until Crownie decided that he wants to be the big carry this game. Picks up those kills, and he's going to be monster fed from here.
They're down, but they're not quite out yet. I'll say that the count started, but we haven't got to 3. This was a decent attempt for the knockout blow, though, because they get the tower, they get the double kill, and Adam follows up in the top side to boot.
And honestly, in this situation, just let the tower go. Like, they're trying so hard to defend it when realistically it wasn't going to happen. They end up losing so much more as a result. And it's kind of one of those scenarios.
Solo kill? No, he's 3-0. Okay, so I thought the respawn's only just come through from my bar. I saw with the zoom in, I was like, wait, His eyebrow died again because I saw the grey screen. I was like, surely not.
He is just monster fed though. Like,
Yeah,
it's not just the fact he's 3-0. He's 40 CS up on his counterpart. It's similar in the AD carry role, 2-0, but also head and farm. And now oh no.
I maybe spoke a little too early. I was clearly 10 seconds too early. A little bit of a prediction there, a prophecy. I did.
And it was not good for Eyebrow.
Yes.
I mean, top is a mess right now. Top is out of control. So the fact that they get this tier 2 as well, the lead is going to be massive. And Heretics trying to make something happen mid, but I just don't see it. I don't see the angle. And 5,000 gold down pre-20 minutes. This is looking rough. And this is Heretics' last hope to try and challenge for first in their group. And now it looks like they might even take mid tier 2 as well.
Nothing to be done. There's a second Herald spawn bot side. That'll be given over to Zwyroo, but the tower in mid lane falls. And it's still a positive trade for BDSA. Teleport summoned by likely Reeker. There he is. And he'll claim this one. I think we'll get a second charge just about, unless he gets minion blocked, and does so. The eye opens and it's just taken out. No second charge acquired. Heretics falling behind. We've only seen 2 paranoias so far the game. Both of them have been reactive and only one of them semi-successful. Adam trading out here, but he's so strong. Now they're going to polymorph him, and that might be enough to turn him around. They can't get in range, and they shot him down. Jackspektra gets a massive shove into the wall, though, in the turnaround, and the Chaos Storm claim 1. Bluerzor just out of range of the final chapter. Jackspektra slowed down. Double kill to Reeker's Viktor. It's looking like it'll be a triple kill. No way to stop him. Zwyroo is over the wall, but he can only through soldiers. It's not enough. Crownie picks up another. And that is 4 straight kills for BDSA in trade for Adam.
It's just decimation. They take down the Aatrox, which, you know, it's positive, right? You get the kill onto your Sivir, 900 gold. Feels like this should be a positive play for Heretics, but the problem is they can't get out again after the fact. And I think the problem was because Zeri was coming from that angle, they end up walking over here, but it just backfires so massively because Sheo and Erdote are there to make the play. And then Reeker with this crown, he's so confident, running forwards, charging down this Sivir, and the fact that Eyebrow comes in to die as well. Devastation for Heretics. Really a rough spot to be in.
The glorious evolution is apparently occurring in France. Led the charge here by Reeker's Viktor, doing so well with Erdote on that Yuumi to make sure he is topped up and very ready to go. 2 items now complete for the majority of players. This might be a final moment for Heretics to trust on it. It's a 2v1. It's actually a 2v2 because there's a count on Aatrox's back. We've seen that call before. Reeker's coming over, shoved away. Here comes Ivo, but he's in a mini Gnar. I don't know how well you want this. Double hot, pretty good. Polymorph afterwards is not bad as a follow-up, but they cannot secure the kill. Flash away. Jackspektra's here. All the while Dragon goes down. That's sole point. Now the Nocturne out comes through. Can they continue to chase? Not a lot of health to be done. Mega Gnar into the wall. Aatrox surely falls. Jackspektra gets that one, and Reeker gets out. It's 1-for-1 for now. Final chapter comes through. Boulder toss slows down Reeker. He's not got flash from the earlier trade, but they just can't get close enough. The Yuumi Zoomies keep him moving, and they just cannot finish it. Now Crownie's coming over. He'll have a spark surge. He can keep going over the wall. He's got so many low health bars to try and execute them all. Ultra Shock Laser gets one. bluerzor follows. And now White is trying to recall, but he's been spotted out by the ward. Nowhere to run. And Lulu is claimed for a double.
Yeah, Zeri coming in late, able to clean up. Crownie seeing them line up in that setting, and now with Sheo respawning with the death timers for Heretics, this is probably just going to be Baron as well. BDSA, it felt like Heretics had an angle, had the numbers advantage, but they just cannot find it against the strength that is BDSA.
They'll move over towards the Baron. They'll claim that one as well, and the gold lead has started to balloon. They've got themselves soul point. Let's watch this play again, because Adam is completely fearless.
Yeah, I mean, he goes into this scenario, TP coming in, still feeling confident, and it takes so long for Heretics to really start to threaten him, right? Ult has to time out, Polymorph has to come in, and then the healing comes through from the Yuumi, and that's the moment where Heretics go, okay, we know they're taking Dragon, let's commit. We have the numbers advantage, and they get the kill onto Adam, which, you know, is definitely a positive. But this Viktor, Reeker, so confident in this picks, sliding away with the speed from the Yuumi, just dodges out from the stun, and then Heretics suddenly realize they've committed way too much.
The re-engage from Crownie is a thing of beauty. All those low health bars, an ultra shock laser that takes everybody low, and there's nowhere to run.
No option here. whiteinn Lesson tries to go for the recall in the rush, but isn't able to find it. Sheo, I don't think Sheo found Jackspektra there, but now we're looking at the state of the game. It's an 8,500 gold lead right now. 3 dragons to 0. And BDSA, we have 3 items of the Zeri. It feels like it's hitting critical mass.
Here we go. Infinity Edge is complete, nearly a death cap for Reeker, and you're still waiting on an Inf Edge for Jackspektra, which might be your turnaround option. It's just not there. Baron's in, and the amount of gold you're picking up from this is just wonderful if you're a BDSA member. They'll get to continue shoving. bluerzor is hovering around those base gates to see whether there's an angle to come in, but it'd be so risky. I don't know whether this is the moment they want to take their final stand.
Yeah, I will say, as far as teams go who are 9,000 gold down against the Baron buff, Heretics at least have a lot of wave clear between the Azir and the Sivir, so it could be worse. It's not good, but definitely could be worse. And for now, they're going to try and clear out the waves, but look, Reeker's pushed in mid-wave. It looks like they're trying to sync them up, if possible, to apply more pressure, although in fact, it looks like he's leaning over. They're just trying to brute force this bot.
Down to a third HP, now down to 25%. Crownie stepping forward, burst fire, and the tower is dead. Cannot stop, but can they get any further in? They've still got a little bit of time left. As Ibo chunked out again, and a ultra shock laser takes Zwyroo to half. That will give BDSA a license to step up to the inhibitor.
Yeah, and I mean, Crownie got low. You'd think that'd be the angle to go in, but they're just so far behind. Unless BDS make a massive mistake, Heretics can't really push in. Looking for an angle here with a Mega Gnar. Ibo finds nothing.
Oh, Ibo goes in, gets a stun onto Adam, but nothing more. Exhaust on his Zwyroo down again to 20% HP. Just cannot stay in a fight for longer than 5 or so seconds. Adam now getting the target polymorphed. Can they finish him up, though? They just got it down to half HP. Now Crownie free throwing the deals on Ibo so low. Goes Mega. No, not quite. That's a wild growth. It doesn't matter. He's taken out. Nothing more to be seen. Another member dead. And that might have been it. The last gasp from Heretics, who will be excommunicated and taken out by the Inquisition from the LFL. BDSA are not to be trifled with. They are looking for an undefeated group stage. They're looking to join their LFL compatriots and be the 3rd team from the French region to top their groups. Heretics must find some way to hold the gates. The gates are broken in, though, so it's only Nexus towers remaining.
Looks like they're going to try and end here. Brute forcing through, and there's nothing Heretics can do in this one. They'll set up the fountain, and BDSA have everything they need in this game.
There's nothing more to be done. They're trapped on the fountain. BDSA will brook no dissenters. There will be no tiebreaker, no attempt to claim first, and Heretics are put to the sword. BDSA undefeated in the Amazon European Masters group stage.
I think what's scary is that the previous time they matched up, it looked a lot closer than this, but right now Heretics, they're hostage on their base. They can't even leave. 4 of them alive, and they just get absolutely decimated on that one. BDSA, very convincing win, and the people who were thinking maybe Heretics had what was in them to come back, to win 2 games, to contest the first. This game made it clear it wasn't even close.
Fortunately, not this time around. And, you know, maybe we had some questions about the draft there as well. But either way, it was played out so well in the side lanes, in particular. Adam and Crownie once again finding those individual leads. And then you started to see the Poppy and the Yuumi running around. And then the Yuumi and the Aatrox running around. And it kind of got pretty much, I don't know, impossible really to win the grouped up fights. There just wasn't enough damage to kill someone before Yuumi healed them right back to full. Yeah,
and I think this is the issue, especially like, because typically we see, like, if Zeri is first picked, we see the enemy team take, like, Sivir, Yuumi, and then Lulu's taken. The problem when you have Zeri and Yuumi on the same team is that, you know, Zeri can just fly around and the Yuumi can keep up. And then also, Lulu to be in the other team just means that Zeri steals shields. So Crownie was always going to be super strong in this game, but I think the main thing that was cool was the fact that we saw this Poppy Yuumi pairing where Sheo was just immortal. And we kind of got a lot of that earlier where Sheo was just this absolute super aggressive beast mode jungler who had very little regard for his own life, mostly because he felt like he was immortal. And this is kind of the same thing here. Well, perhaps we can have a bit of a breakdown from the Heretics coach to take us through that. Jeeves is joining us. Unfortunate loss there, but still getting out in second, still going on to the knockout stage. Talk us through the draft, please, before we go too much further, because we were kind of having some questions about how the Nocturne was going to work. What was your thinking in the draft phase there?
Where do you want to start, first of all? What are your questions?
Orcs?
Yeah, so I just feel like, you know, obviously the strategy came in to secure the Gnar on 4, which I guess was for comfort, but then, like, leaving the Nocturne to last, how did you feel like the Nocturne was going to fit in? And also, do you feel like that maybe picking the Gnar on 4 was a mistake with the Aatrox open?
I mean, we want to leave some flexibility in terms of like junglers on last pick. So we just like did a very generic handshake with the enchanters. We went to secure like Azir, Sivir in order to get like strong prior lanes, right? And then kind of like see what type of composition they would go for and see like whatever best pick they can have. I think they actually answered very well with the Viktor. Maybe they actually saw something coming. So I think BDS actually just like adapted well. I think actually drafts is fine. It just is that if we can't utilize the first Nocturne ult very well, and if we, I mean, in this case, we dropped a lot on towards the bot side, and then just like snowballed like very heavily into BDS favor.
Appreciate the insight there. It's good to hear some of the reasoning behind what was going on. Looking forward now, obviously, you've got second. Group stage is over. You're looking now towards the knockouts. How are you feeling about Heretics' chances going into that stage? Obviously, some very frightening first seeds to go up against, likely one of those LFL teams.
Yeah. I mean, somehow we're not really able to find our form on the official matches so far in Neo Masters. Like about 2 or 3 days ago, we did a tiny bit of a restructure in the terms of both a bit of gameplay and the way we structure review, and it actually works really well. However, somehow we just like are not managing in Neo Masters. I mean, for some of us, it's been either a long time on Neo Masters or maybe even first time. Maybe there's a bit of nerves. Maybe there are like other things playing around that I'm not really entirely sure. Like what actually makes us perform less to what I've like seen elsewhere. Let's say.
Of course. And it's good to hear that insight. Of course, some of those frustrations, I hope you can help deal with those and kind of resolve those as you head in towards the knockouts, and have got to cut this one a little bit short. So any final words you want to say out to the Heretics fans there, especially considering obviously the org joining LEC next year?
Yes, I mean, I want to thank everyone for all of the support. We get a lot of love on Twitter. We get a lot of belief. Even when I tweet the hashtag trust the process, everyone still, at least so far from all the support I'm getting, everyone's still trusting the process. I'm really sad for both us and the fans that we're not really performing right now on our official matches, but I'll try to do everything in my power together with Naru and the rest of the team to just like find our form for official matches and to like really show what we're capable of.
Wish you luck with getting to that point where you feel you can show your true strengths here in the Amazon European Masters. Wish you luck with the knockouts, and we will see you in that stage.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Well, it's cool to get some thoughts there on what happened in the draft in particular there, because you can see the reasoning, even if like obviously they kind of felt like the Viktor really hamstrung their plans, and we're going to see that in game as well, because Adam kind of got to do this.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing to think about. It's like it's very easy to call issues with the draft
Exactly.
when the game goes in a disastrous direction like this, right? Clearly the plan was there, but the Nocturne didn't find the momentum. Adam was decimating the top lane, and then it's moments like these moments you can't really plan for when you're in Champ Select, where Crownie just decides he wants to take over.
I mean, again, I will recall everyone's minds back to that interview you had earlier in the day where he says, look, me and Erdote are the best bot lane outside of the LEC. That is their belief. That is the standard they want to hold themselves to. And honestly, in this game, they were certainly playing with that kind of level, it felt like. And you start hitting fights like this where a pick onto Adam, which looked great, that got Jackspektra some gold, still turns into a bloodbath in the favor of BDSA and Reeker's Viktor.
Yeah, and I feel like BDSA in team fights is just such a pleasure to watch. The confidence from the people charging forwards, and it's not just the frontliners. Obviously, Adam is full of confidence, but we see the backliners, Reeker and Crownie, finding their windows to push forwards. They know exactly who they need to target in team fights. They know their role, and it's just been an absolute delight to watch so far in the EU Masters.
I feel that's somewhat true of the LFL teams in general. Their understanding of their win cons and the enemy team's win conditions as well has been on such a good level, and you start to see fights like this where, yes, Adam goes down, but then the overchase afterwards is so swiftly punished from Crownie, who goes all the way from below mid lane to this fight to murder the remains of it.
Yeah, and I just feel like you can see that moment so easily, like that little thing where like Iba throws the last boulder and suddenly BDSA just know, right, this is our fight, we're turning around, we're cleaning this up. And it's so devastating. It's not like they just pick up an exit kill, they get 3 that led into that Baron. Sheo also nearly been able to run down the Sivir as well. And I mean, look at the damage. Reeker had just an absolute banger performance. And all I'm going to say is we had him on the interview earlier. I'm pretty glad he didn't end up being a doctor because instead he's just decimating on the Rift.
I mean, Viktor's a doctor. Maybe that's why he, empathized and plays so well with him. My days. Yep.
Well, that was a clinical game from him. So
yeah, very good. All right. Surgical, one might say. But this is the standings at the end of the day. BDS Academy joined Game Ward with an undefeated 6-0 scoreline. Heretics at 4-2 with their 2 losses being to BDS Academy. SK Prime and Valiant traded out in terms of the wins they got, but are stuck there at 3rd and 4th respectively.
Yeah, I want to give credit to our EBL rep for managing to come out and get the win.
For sure.
It's so easy to think, well, all that matters is if you get through the group stage. But you got to remember that like teams have worked for this for maybe the whole year. Like often we get rosters together for the year, bare minimum the whole split. You've worked hard in your region. You've managed to achieve qualification for EU Masters. It's such a big difference getting that single win compared to going home without a win. So credit to them for coming in strong and managing to secure that one. But obviously the big 2 that go forwards is BDSA, our first seed, joining the 2 other French first seeds, and we'll get to find out tomorrow. Are we going to have 4 first seeds from the LFL? That's the question.
But before we start looking forward, let's instead look backwards to how today went, because it was a pretty exciting one. It's very entertaining games overall.
Yeah, I mean, initially the first one was SK Prime trying to step up against Heretics, but Heretics showing that they are still a force to be reckoned with, able to take them out. Seeing Viktor being a bit of a theme, I think, today so far.
Yeah, it did feel like it. And honestly, SK Prime had a pretty strong early game, but as the game went on, Heretics' kind of mechanical might started to come through to play. And then this game ends with Jackspektra getting to make plays like this and dodging his way through all of that CC to secure all of these kills and end the game in favor of Heretics, which was pretty exciting and a bit of a galling loss for SK Prime. And then we had this one where BDSA kind of ran over Valiant.
Yeah, and they put in good effort. They try to make things happen. I think Paladin in particular had some decent moments, but it just wasn't enough, right? Trying to find these angles, never giving up, I think is the key thing. But BDSA just kind of showing they are on another level. And I think it's easy to look at some of these games where BDSA play, and it kind of looks like the team they're against are just running it. But in reality, I honestly think the BDSA are just such a good team. It's really hard to play against them.
Indeed, and this one was a complete bloodbath as well. But but despite some late game shenanigans from Valiant to try and hold the game together with the likes of the Yuumi and the Yone, and of course that Sivir, the Paladin was running, they just couldn't quite make it work. In Jackspektra, Zeri have combined the 2 champions in some monstrous amalgamation. Either way, did come out with the win. And then we had this one where Ekas tried to make some of the early plays in the jungle work, and this fight afterwards was a very unfortunate one for SK Prime.
Yeah, Sheo just living life on the edge on the Vi here, going super aggressive, and Adam coming in with the big plays on the Gnar, destroying SK Prime and just really managing to pick them apart in this game.
Shout out to the pentakill at the end of it as well. And then this one was just a glorious bloodbath. We had a Riven, we had a Renekton, we had a Set, and it started off with more kills than there were minutes in the game, and it kind of ended that way. And this 1v1 at the end of the game was just a thing of, well, it was this. You can hear the Benny Hill theme from here.
Yeah, it looks, honestly, Aloysius just has the confidence, goes for it, but doesn't have the ult, and Arcane Teddy bringing it through, getting their first win off the tournament. So absolutely huge there. Just credit to them for keeping fighting the whole time.
Absolutely that, and they will be, I'm sure, proud to go home with at least one win. You always want to go home with at least one. It's always
one more than I got this EU Masters.
You're not even a pro player anymore. Stop like this.
That's the point I'm making, right? All you viewers at home, you guys didn't win an EU Masters game unless you're one of the competitors, but you're gonna
get a lot of DMs from players going like, "Yeah, I won an EU Masters. What about that, mate? How are you feeling now?" All right, well, enough of this throwing orcs under the bus, because I was never a pro player at all, so I've got nothing to say. And let's look at the 1+ play of the game. I actually have no idea what the play is, so I'm quite excited to see which one it is.
I have a feeling. And I figured, right, you get a pentakill. How could it not be the play of the game? Play of the day,
Adam, watch his ult over the wall here. He comes in and finds a mother of all ultimates. Smash them all into the wall. And, you know, credit to Aircast as well, because right at the end of it, he's the one who gives over the penta.
Yeah, and I was just going to say the bolder accuracy here from Adam. Pretty on point. But yeah, Ekis running away goes, you know what? We're out anyway. Why not just give it over? And Adam getting a pentakill, which, you know, a lot of people think, right, pentakills, we see them fairly often. But for like an individual player, you look at like even the pop-off players on League PJ, a lot of them don't have that many pentakills because like sure, we might get them in a whole league where there's hundreds of players. We might get them like occasionally, fairly often, but I feel like for an individual player, it's still a big achievement. So credit to Adam for coming in, and he had a fantastic day. I mean, that's obviously the highlight play, but our most recent game against Heretics, his Aatrox was just disgustingly good.
Yeah, a reminder, FLICKR only has 1 pentakill in his whole competitive career, and he's been going since Season 3. So, you know, greatest full-time only has the 1 pentakill, and Adam there with a phenomenal one. But instead, let's have a look at the
the trick is, just play Zeri. That's how you get full pentakills.
What a trick that one is. This is the standings, of course, for Group A, which will be coming up tomorrow to round out our group stage, the Amazon European Masters. Unicorns of Love are right there at the top. 3-0, but the question is whether Vitality B or perhaps even Giants could come back and bring them down a peg or two.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that we even heard Crownie talk about this earlier, how Unicorns of Love are kind of like the exception, right? LFL is the dominant region right now, and we're seeing that in the groups. But Unicorns of Love could be the spanner that upsets the 4 LFL first seeds. Right now, they lead the group. That obviously doesn't mean necessarily they're going to finish that way. We saw X7 leading against LDLC going into their second day, and that obviously didn't pan out. But I feel like this is the one where if we're going to put our hedge our bets on someone, it's probably Unicorns of Love, but there's still Giants in the group as well who could definitely bring out some pressure. So exciting stuff regardless.
Eyes on those first 2 games. You're a Zero Tenacity or Giants fan as well. They're going to need to pick up some wins against those top 2 Titans if they want to still have a dream of getting out of groups. But I think that's enough ruminating on tomorrow. You'll have to wait until the clock ticks over before we can start over again. But for myself, from Orcs, from the whole broadcast crew, we wish you good night, good morning, wherever you are around the globe. We'll see you all tomorrow, bright and early at 5 p.m. CEST. See you then. Bye-bye.
Dostępne tak samo jak i dostępne jest to łombo combo ze strony Aatrox.